Okay, team, welcome back to the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives. My name is Zach.
And I'm Courtney.
And we are the Anchor of the Week. Guys, I'm buzzing for this one, because this is close to my heart, this one.
Yes, we're taking a little pause from our series that we are in on Worldview to come at you with a very special, very relevant episode today.
Yes, yeah.
Tell us all about it, Zach.
We are talking about the World Cup and the things around it, but... It is about the World Cup. Oh, it's the World Cup that's kind of stimulated, if you like, the episode. So, yeah, we are buzzing for this one. We're going to talk about kind of how it's hosted in Qatar and just the controversies kind of behind that.
Yes, this has been a very controversial World Cup.
Yes, yeah. Mainly due to the place it's been hosted at and the things behind, like, how it's come about in terms of how the stadiums have been built, which we'll go into and stuff like that. But also we wanted to kind of give a bit more context on the kind of bigger picture, if you like.
Yes.
And it's FIFA. FIFA are basically the organization that are kind of like the big boys in football who make the big decisions behind the World Cup and things like that. But how it's kind of corrupt.
Kind of is an understatement,
It is an
Zachariah.
understatement. Yes. Oh,
okay.
Wow. Full name.
Full name, because, this is low-key a dream episode for us, I think, because Zach finally gets to talk about football, and I get to talk about the state of corruption in our world.
Yeah, it literally
so really,
is.
it's perfect.
It's a great combo, yeah.
It is. But obviously, I was like, I don't know anything about football, so I'm going to, I love a little bit of controversy, so let's film this episode. And then I went on a deep dive, and boy, oh boy, let me tell you, FIFA is one corrupt organization. Side note, to preface this, FIFA is supposed to be a non-profit organization, which I find extraordinarily hilarious.
I actually did not know that.
I did not either until my research.
Wow. I just found that out.
You're going to find out a lot today.
Anyway, yeah. Guys, big shout out because Courtney went and she spent not just one night, but she found out we were doing this.
In a course of 36 hours.
Yeah.
I spent too many of them.
She knows everything that is going on more than I do.
Yeah.
Now. So
one of the proudest moments of my life was explaining the FIFA organization to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, big shout out.
Sound effects.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, sound effects with the claps here, but yeah. So to start with the episode, obviously it's hosted in Qatar and it's going on currently. I'm not sure who's playing right now. Actually, I think it's Uruguay versus South Korea.
See, this is where his info comes in handy.
Yeah, this is my kind of knowledge, if you like. But there's a lot of bad rep. Honestly, build up to the World Cup, it was very little about the actual teams, about the actual games itself. It was so much more about the politics behind it, and it was a lot more about how stadiums were built and the corruption behind that. A lot to do with the things that are legal and illegal in Qatar, and the things that they're kind of pushing on the people who are visiting.
Yes.
So it's a lot of it was just a lot of politics. Even up to the first game, it was really, really little to do with the actual game itself. As I was reading through kind of like the teams and whatever else, it barely talked about the teams.
No,
so
it was very much overshadowed. Like the sport itself right now is it's like been eclipsed by controversy.
Yeah. But just to give you guys a bit more kind of, I guess, details onto that. Obviously, when this was hosted, or when this was decided it was going to be made, then a lot of plans were put in place in terms of making new stadiums and things like that. And
which happens with every country every year, right?
Yeah. Normal thing, really. But obviously, I think, don't quote me on this one, but I do believe more that like other countries are a bit more prepared for this sort of thing, because football in Qatar is a lot less big. It's not a huge deal in the world, but also I think in terms of the stadiums they have and the capacity of the stadiums itself, that's why they've kind of needed to make new stadiums. Yeah,
and they're a very small country and just do not have the infrastructure to. I mean, they're a rich country. Yeah. More on that later.
Yeah. So basically, just to summarize briefly, as they were building these stadiums, people died as they were building. A lot of people who were kind of migrant workers, and the treatment of these people were really, really poor. There's, again, this is kind of parts. Some people have given different information, and then other organizations have dug a little bit deeper and given us something different. I think there was around 30 plus deaths on this one. But
I have so much to say on this.
yeah, but they've kind of come out and said actually only 3 of them were actually relevant, or was actually due to the fact that the stadiums were being built and it was in those tough conditions, etc. Apparently, the other deaths, from what I was reading from this article, was that it was. I think they were putting it down to other reasons, but it happened to be part of this group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a little, trying to be bipartisan. That means like down the middle, right? Yeah. Thanks for my fact check.
Nice.
I used the word right.
Yeah, Shazza.
But okay. So Qatar itself, like the whatever football association, whoever they are called, say that there are like only 3 or like I don't know, a small number, 13. I have the numbers on here somewhere, but there are so many numbers in my extensive notes.
Only 3
that
actually
were like work related to the World Cup, and then a bunch of others, like 30 others that were non-work related, which means like you weren't like actually working on building a stadium. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like it's so sneaky about like, we can say this and like the loopholes. You know what I mean? But never mind the fact that a lot of like human rights organizations believe that several thousand migrant workers have died as part of Qatar's preparations for the World Cup, because these preparations have been going on since what? Like the earliest date that I have in here is 2014 when it like the recorded deaths, because they've known about this for
a while,
like 10, 12 years, 13 years, right? So they've been building these 12 stadiums for literally a decade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, more than 3 people like
have died. Yeah.
And the documentary I was watching, which if you've not watched FIFA Uncovered, let me tell you, go watch it. It is wild. But literally they had a bunch of Nepali workers coming in, right, from Kathmandu, and they literally showed a woman who was waiting for her husband's casket because he died when he was in Doha building the stadiums. And I'm like, okay, well then that's one of the 3. Like, there's no way that there's only been like 3 or 30 or because the other thing, okay, here we go. I'm on my roll now.
Yeah.
Is and one of the many reasons why they were like, why are we gonna have it in Qatar, right? They're like, well, we can't play football in the summer, which is usually when the World Cup is, right? In like 36-degree weathers. Yeah. Right? Like, no, like you can't put the athletes like through that.
Yep.
But what they can do apparently is put all these migrant workers through that who are doing physical labor of building these stadiums. It is so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the conditions that they were living in and all those sort of things were really, really poor. So it wasn't even just the work itself, but it was also, even when they're not at work, things were really poor for them. Yeah.
Exactly. But now here is where we're going to like, I don't know, want to interject this.
Yep.
But we also are viewing this from a Western mindset. I mean, human rights are human rights. Please don't treat people poorly, and no one should be dying because of their work, especially if I can guarantee you they weren't being paid a lot.
Yeah.
But are we then expecting them to live to the equal of our standards? Because that is also one of the things, okay, this game is being played, like the cup is being held in a completely different part of the world with completely different infrastructures and completely different like standard of living.
Yeah.
Where does that kind of
because that touches well with the next point is as well, obviously their stance because of their religion and the culture and things like that, kind of discrimination against like the LGBTQ community and like kind of, I guess, women as well, actually.
Basic human rights as well,
seriously, like all those sort of things. These are like cultural, religious things, right? That they abide by. So, I know there's been a lot of backlash on people going over, and I don't know if people know the story of kind of like the England team. This is not just the England team, but other kind of more European countries are banned from using the captain's armband, which is a rainbow color. It's rainbow colored, just to kind of in support of the whole community and stuff. And they've been banned from doing that. I think actually a player gets a yellow card. If you don't know what a yellow card is, it's like what you get before a red card, which kicks you out of the game. So
I know what a yellow card is.
Okay, nice. Well done. Anyway, not everyone will. So, but yeah, it's basically, it only happens in the game. It punishes you in the game. But the thing with yellow cards is if you get so many, then you miss out on a game. So to put players under that pressure of you'll get booked for still wearing it. So it's even now, not just from a Qatar hosting perspective, but also now even just the players. Some players have gotten grief, or countries have gotten grief for not supporting this, but they're also standing there like, well, this is one of the biggest competitions ever. It is the biggest competition ever. And if a yellow card makes me miss out on a game in the future, because it does, if you accumulate so many yellow cards, you miss out on like one of the final games, which is obviously quite important. So to put players under that pressure isn't right
Like,
either.
what's worth it? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
What's more?
Yeah. So, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, but it's just this whole thing. People are just like, this isn't right. This is not how this tournament should be done. And it's really taken a lot of attention away from the actual cup itself.
But is that good?
And that's the thing. I think there's a level of disagreeing and etc. But also, if someone comes to England and I don't know what rules we have. Well, I do, but also not really. But if someone is kind of, if someone's gonna abide by our rule, like if they come into our country, they kind of have to follow
our laws.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And so the same goes for wherever you visit, whether you disagree or not. It's almost out of respect also, but just like I would expect someone to follow England's rules. So for me to go to Qatar and then stand there and be like, no, I don't believe in this, or no, I'm against this, so I'm gonna
do what I want.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have to also understand the context a little bit and have respect for, like, these are things that have been in place for years for these people. So for us to go over there and just do what we want, it's quite offensive. And so, and I know that's really controversial, but also, I don't know, it's this level of like respect, but also trying to support what we believe in.
Or like, where do you stand up, like when it comes to human rights? You know what I mean? And what's the line between respecting or understanding that you've entered into a different culture?
Yeah.
But then also standing up when you need to stand up for
exactly,
something.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like, yes, I disagree. And yes, I think more like whole hosting this over there is not right. And the build up to that is not right. And it shouldn't be there.
No.
But
for many
also,
reasons.
I think when it comes to things like the LGBT community and how like the woman, it's really sensitive ground, but you also have to respect where they are. You know, for us to go and just drink alcohol, I know that's another one.
No drinking alcohol in stadiums.
Drinking alcohol.
The amount of memes about the British going over there and then finding out, like,
I don't
when
think
like it was like the week before.
It was the day before.
The day before, I found out that no alcohol to be consumed inside the stadiums.
It is poor. The way that's been dealt with is bad, but
because no one would have come. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's football culture.
So that looks really bad, right? And I think that's not good because they haven't dealt with that the right way. You should give people more notice, etc. But to be honest, it also doesn't surprise me because like that's not something they do over there, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like you have to respect that, and it's almost being a bit ignorant if you don't kind of follow to what they believe in, you know? So
it's hard because there's definitely a line of entitlement for sure.
Yeah.
And like we're bringing in our Western point of view. Some things have their good and their benefit and, you know, like should be challenged, but then we are always at risk as Westerners of thinking like we do everything the best and everything should adapt to the way we do it because we're so far advanced.
Yeah. But these guys are in a completely different world, honestly.
Yeah.
So I think we really need to understand that as we like have these stances and stuff. But that doesn't mean we agree with it. It's more just out of respect.
No, yeah. And I think like it's so easy just to like, I don't know, be like, oh, that's wrong. Like I'm boycotting. Yeah. Okay, but why are you boycotting? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many.
There's a lot of different angles, yeah. But yeah. And I think just going back to like putting that pressure on the players, because I was thinking about this and I was like, well, how do you approach that?
What would you do, Zach, if your dreams came true and you're playing in the World Cup?
Guys, this was a dream of mine once upon a time. It still is. There's still hope. No, I'm joking. Okay, I'm joking. Anyway, so, but like, honestly, I think if every single player who's taking part in the tournament doesn't join in and stand in this collectively, then it's almost, I don't know how worth it is because I don't know. They almost have to be like, we're not going to take part in this tournament at all, and we're not going to play, and it has to go to that level of extreme where there's not going to be any football played or shown for it to actually make an impact, and then FIFA have to act, or then the hosts and the people who organize this thing actually have to make change or do things differently, because one player doing something, I don't know. Does that really bring change? I mean,
it's easier to get rid of that problem.
Yeah, it is, you know? So for it to actually bring a solution, I think personally, I don't know what I would do. I think putting pressure on one person specifically, I don't know how right that is, but then they are the people in that spotlight. Yeah. So, bleh.
Yeah. Here's my issue, okay? The 2018 games were in Russia, who also has a lot of different human rights issues going on, a possible dictator, you know what I'm saying? But why? I'm like, how do I make that phrase a little bit nicer? I don't know. There's no way. But this wasn't a huge thing then.
No. Yeah.
But why not?
Yeah.
Like, why do we care so much right now? Is it because it's impacting us more personally?
I think so, yeah.
But FIFA has a history of this.
Well, they do, yeah. I feel like as the years are going by now, going along, I think more is being uncovered as well. So they're in the spotlight a little bit more.
Yes. Is this where I get to talk about?
This is where you get the segue, I think.
Here we go. Your girl is ready. Okay. So we're going to dig into the history of FIFA a little bit, because the thing that really grinds my gears with this is that we really care right now, about the specific situation in Qatar. But I feel like we are just looking at the fruit of a situation when the entire roots of an organization are corrupt and rotten. Sorry, I'm going to say that. You can disagree with me, but I think I'm right. But here's the thing, okay? FIFA started in 1904, okay? I think there's about 7 football associations. Guys, this is my time to shine. I will never know this much about football ever again.
Don't say that.
Yeah, have hope. But it was like an association of like different football clubs that just wanted to play football together, right? And they were amateurs, which means no money was involved, right? They were all just playing tournaments together and having a laugh, and it was a love of the sport. But then in the 70s, when Avalanche, is that his name? I say it like it's French, but it's Portuguese.
Sure. Yeah.
He's from Brazil. But he comes in, right? And he like turns it into a business, and also known as when capitalism has entered FIFA. Okay. And it sets the trajectory of everything else that's going on, right? Because then it is put in place as a business model where you have top guys and then it trickles down, right? So it's like a power channel funnel.
Yeah.
So that is where everything kind of starts getting whatever. But what is known as like the original sin, like the thing that really like started the corruption, was the 78 World Cup in Argentina. Because in that time in Argentina, that is when they had, I don't remember his name, which I should have fact checked, but they had their horrible dictator, right, in the 70s, who was literally torturing and murdering people that disagreed with him, any political rebels in that sense. And there was like, what is happening now in Qatar was happening then. Like there was this whole like campaign against it, and people are like, we cannot support this, we can't go here. Like, Avalanche was saying that but sports is not political. Like we're the World Cup, it's totally different. And people were like, how can you say that this is not political when the stadium that you are playing in is literally 500 meters from like a prison where they're torturing people that are disagreeing with the dictator? Like, how can you do that? How can you stand there? How can you support this country? So for me, I'm like, okay, we're making a big deal of this now, but this is literally what this organization has been founded on. Why do we care so much right now? Or like, why are we like, I don't know. Like this kind of thing frustrates me. And I'm like, maybe I'm glad that we finally care. And it's good that we care. Yeah. But we're just all of a sudden upset at Qatar. And there are so many things. Again, highly recommend you watching the documentary, because guys, we're trading like oil and land and like airline pathways for this bid. Like it's crazy. It is so crazy. But the idea is that this whole organization has been built on what is it called? Sports washing. My new favorite word. I'm going to pull up the actual. So sports washing is when a cruel or an unjust regime who glamorizes themselves and cleanses their image through association with football, the laundering of an image through association with sport, okay? So even before this happens with Hitler in the Berlin Olympics in 1936, right? 1936. It's this whole idea, because when sports come together, the World Cup brings people together and it creates this beautiful thing, like, yes, Waka Waka, this time for Africa, you know what I mean? Like, we all loved it. I hate that song.
Really?
Yeah, I find it so annoying.
I love it.
I know. Everyone loves it, but I really don't. Kaylee doesn't like it either, so we are 50-50 in this room.
I love it.
But that's the thing. Every time, like, there's a World Cup, there's a song. It's like, we're going to bring people together. The song this year also sucks. I don't know what it is with World Cup songs.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
that was the best one.
We are the Dreamers.
Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, whatever. Like, we are the Dreamers. I don't know. Come on, this is whatever. Anyway, but it's this whole like, your country like gets this whole like image boost, right? And it brings everyone together, and then we all have fond memories attached to your country and how we were so united in all of this. But then you have extremely corrupt governments and governments that are not meeting like the basic human rights standards, and it's like, this is just wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong. Yeah.
Sports washing, guys. It's a new thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not a new thing, but it's a new term I learned. But
one of the things that because I've really been thinking about kind of what led to the corruption, right? Because I know you've explained, but also the idea of like, originally it was founded based off of just purely, these guys found a game that they wanted to expand, and it was just based off of the game. Nothing.
People loving football.
Yeah, and it was just, let's enjoy the sport, etc. And then money came in, and obviously that is a huge just idol in general. So it just makes things very complicated. So, and then there's that idea, but then it becomes about positions and wealth and power and authority, and just, you get to make big decisions, and so it's like, where is that like, how do you keep staying kind of in line with the heart of things, but then get bigger and bigger and have more power? Because it's easy to be like, oh, power corrupts.
Power corrupts.
Yeah, but also I think there's more to it than just power corrupts. I think it's more like power without something, without accountability, or without someone, I don't know, without an authority, or someone above you checking in, or something.
And this is the big thing about the top execs at FIFA, right? Is everyone is saying that they report to no one.
Yeah.
They have no accountability. There's zero transparency. They just don't tell people things. And it's a small elite group making decisions for their own personal benefit. But I think but how can you sit someone down? They're like, hey, I want to grow your organization. You're like, amazing. But really what they want, they're business minded, right? Like they just want money. That is their job, is to make money. And they're going to make the most money that they can for themselves because we love money. And
success for their job would be, have we turned in enough money for this event, or for this year, whatever it is. So that pressure is also on them. It's not even, but I know they get a lot from it, but also it's like that is what success is defined off of. So
but I don't know if there's a real answer to your thing, but for me the only way that I can see this is being like, whoever is in power, in charge, whatever, their top priority is the right heart. You know what I mean? Because you can have someone that really likes football, but their top priority is business expansion. Then all of a sudden business expansion will always take the lead. You know what I mean? What is I think they made a lot of poor decisions at the beginning with who they let in.
Yeah.
And the cultures in that were created, and then they some people tried to change the culture, and then they were just shot down because the culture was already too thick. You know what I mean? It's too in motion, too rigid. I don't think they're... Should I read the very hopeless quote? This is from the documentary. Most of my research is from this one documentary, but that's okay. That's not really good in investigative journalism. You need to have multiple sources, but...
No, but it's good. It highlights a lot.
It does highlight a lot. Where is it? Well, okay. It's gonna be a big paraphrase because I can't find it because I have 3 pages of notes. But essentially it was, his name was Guido something, and he was the former, I think, advisor to Sepp Blatter, who is the corrupt president of FIFA. The big boy who never got charged for anything.
No, I know, but
and he still denies everything to this day. But then it's like, well, are you not responsible then for this the culture of corruption that you allowed to happen under you? Should your hands really be clean? Are your hands really clean if you're the one that created that culture? Yeah. Anyway, that's a side note. But basically, this Guido guy said, do I believe that FIFA will ever not be corrupt? No, because to believe that FIFA will never be corrupt means that the world will one day never be corrupt, and I don't think that's possible. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's not very hopeful.
No, it's not. Yeah.
But there's a point to that.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, oh man, it's all good and saying all this, but how does change really come? And I think it's got to be from the people involved at the very bottom, almost, I think. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know, because I was genuinely thinking, I was like, the only real way is, I was saying earlier how it's not fair on the players that they're in this position, but also I think they're I feel like they're the only ones who can really bring change into something like this, because if they don't play, then there's nothing that can be shown, right? And but then asking people to do that is a lot. And
but see, the team from Trinidad tried to do that, I don't know, back in the early 2000s, I think, and they were blacklisted They literally asked, hey, can you tell us the truth about where the money went? And they couldn't tell the truth because it went to other people's pockets. Yeah. So they said, no, you guys, like, and they literally were blacklisted. So.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I am so discouraging today.
No, but
I feel like
things need to be highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
And I think FIFA is just a huge organization that it's very, very clear, and also from your research, etc., that very evident. But this is something that I think, to make it a bit more relatable to anyone, it's like probably most organizations have a lot of systems like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
like this is macro
and stuff. Yeah.
But we can like micro too. You know what I mean? Like if you were doing anything, even okay, let's take this podcast for example.
Yeah.
Right? Like, would we just everyone in the room just starts like shifting eyes at each other.
but for real.
But for real, it's like, okay, like, are we just gonna let anyone in? Are we gonna just partner with people or brands or sponsors that are just here to make us more money? I'm not gonna make more money, guys. We don't make any money from this. But not yet. Yeah. Or people that are just business mindset, but that don't have the heart for what we actually do, right? Yeah. And then we're gonna start losing our quality, or we're gonna start losing the identity, the DNA of this, right? Yeah. Doesn't mean we don't have people on that can help us grow in these things, but will we always make sure that the heart comes first, even if that means missing out on something that looks like a great opportunity? Yeah,
because I think it's true. Like, and I think we need to look at it from the small as well. Because even when we hosted an exhibition recently, and it was great. It was so good, so fun, everything, high standard on all the pieces and stuff like that. But even something like that's tiny compared to FIFA. Yeah. And so, but even in something like that, you can lose sight of why we're actually doing this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not a big deal. It's not big, and it's not like we have not done things the right way even, but it's more like, but the idea of us losing our eyes on what's actually really important is so easy. And it's almost like we have to be so conscious, and we have to put systems in place or something to make sure that we are staying in line with the heart of something. The vision. Yeah. Like, whether it's accountability or, I don't know, a little committee. I don't know. I mean, you could go off. But yeah. So I think it's us needing to realize that, yes, this is done on a huge scale, but this can be done on the smallest of things as well. It's a principle more than I don't know, like extreme thing. It's not like, once you get to a certain point or size or whatever. But I think more than anything, it's just one. I'm like, everything's corrupt. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't want to be sad about it, do we? But no. But at the same time, like, okay. But if that is just the way that the world works, like, what am I doing so like everything that I'm a part of doesn't do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think is anything going to happen? And anything going to be changed for Qatar 2022? Absolutely not. No. Like, we're already here, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? But moving forward, like, maybe we'll all be a bit more aware, or put more pressure. But it's also, as we were saying, like, it's easy just to look and blame FIFA. Hey, you guys should be doing that. But, okay, what about me? What kind of cultures am I creating? Am I, like, I don't know, in love with power, even on the smallest sense? Do I just love to be, like, leading people, or will I compromise for the sake of looking successful? And that could be like literally anything, even just in our workplaces. Yeah. Or in our friend groups. For sure, yeah. 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 And I know the episode's been very like, like, corrupt this is everything, power, this is bad, yeah. But also I think, I think it's important to be aware of things, but also even like we're discussing now, like, this is where it's kind of a bit more relevant maybe. Yeah. Like, take that into whatever event you're in, or organization, or friendships, relationships that you're in. But where's your stance, just as we wrap up, on, for example, people, because I've had quite a few conversations with people, and they're like, like, I'm not watching the World Cup, or I don't want to be like supporting it almost. And for me, I'm like, I understand and I agree to not back kind of the way it's done, but these players have worked so hard to get to this point. And so it's also like, who are you punishing, really? Yeah, like, it's a shame on one end, because people are still making their money. Yeah. And so where's your stance? Like, do you think it's like we should just not watch it, or you would think that I would say just boycott it entirely, but no, I don't think that's my stance. What I would do is I would like
question people as to why. Okay, first of all, why aren't you watching it? And you can tell if it's just kind of like, oh, because it's like trendy. People are like, you know, you're not allowed to, I don't know, wear the armbands or something like that. You know what I mean? Something that's, yeah. But if you are like, oh, I've, you know, looked into, or like it's the, I don't know, just something deeper, you know, something more deeper on the human, like I actually care for the people and not just the issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I would be like, okay, like, well, did you feel the same way about Russia? You know, what do you feel about, you know, we'll list all the other ones that had all the controversy, you know, and just kind of challenge people to think deeper about it and not just like, okay, I'm going to boycott Qatar, but then don't worry, next time when it's in North America, by the way, not just America, it's in Canada, America, and Mexico. But people forget that. Sorry.
It's going to be great.
It will be great, but are you just gonna then, because that's more culture like ours or whatever with a better infrastructure, we're just gonna go back to it, even though the roots of corruption might be the same? Yeah. Like to get people thinking about that. Why are you boycotting? What does that look like for you beyond these couple weeks? You know, that's what I say.
Brilliant. Well, I think you should just watch it. No, I'm joking. No, I agree with everything you said. But
thank you.
Yeah, I've had quite a few conversations like that. So yeah. I do appreciate though, like if there is something deeper there and you don't want to support, like obviously that's fine, but it's more
honestly you do you. If you feel very strongly about that, do it.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but yeah, I'm also like, this is a huge event and it's such a shame that it's overshadowed by this.
Is it a shame or is it time?
It is time, or it could be both, because it honestly is both, but at the same time, this is the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's such a huge thing. And this is England's year as well, so.
Hey, it is coming home.
It is coming home.
Well, Canada's actually in it for the first time in and how long?
Good side, honestly.
Yeah, so.
Seriously.
We'll see who I actually end up cheering for, but yeah.
Brilliant. Well, team, thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
I hope you guys got kind of a bit more of a backstory and context to just everything that's going on. Because I know there's a lot of chat about it, but it's nice to hear like the more specifics of this is actually what is going on.
What's going on.
Yeah.
Again, highly recommend that documentary on Netflix. But yeah, I love this. I love that I got to learn about football. So thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you for using the term football, Courtney.
I live in the UK now.
I know, there's not many people like you, but that's good.
Well
done.
It's true. But two, it's been over half a decade, so gotta adapt.
Yeah.
Because I'm embracing the culture that I'm in. Anyway, guys, yes, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you can find us on all podcast platforms, on our YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok, all under the Anchor of the Week. And remember, guys, attack topics and not people. And we'll see you soon.